Ghana's economic mismanagers. Ya wonkrofo ba Ghana the way they mismanage Ghana's economy no. Pantoma. Ese me no nyina discuss ne hwe. Hwe. Ni ma bi wo man ni ma access yam fa ya no anka ya se ade bi. But me I'm watching the president of our land, President John Dramani Mahama mesro. When Attorney General, se mo benya loophole bi anka mo de na do dem go for the betimi akọ court anka mani beje. If there is any law in our constitution, in our law books, I bet me the former president and now do dem go for the Akojina court. Amana koyi nsem bia no anka mani beje. Let's address it very, very peacefully here. Because under those watch, me pacho chrono ketase say the proye pa e course wo Ghana no. E bi ye pantoma bi wa odwen ho a onti ase. E bi wa odwen ho a onti ase. Pechama Wontumi etimi ko forge documents. E de koje bosia wo a whole exim bank. Say poyando. Dey bim na ba.
Wontumi no ho ye. Oh, she see a problem ba kwa sa be ka ho.
Problem de ba ku betima say ba be ka ho. Se say na chama Wontumi party mi ye dia. In fact, me dwen ho amenti ase. Me dwen ho amenti ase. Yen kwa Asante mamne nko bi Asante for the China mu hu chama Wontumi hwe. Ye wi aye ba be bo Attorney General video no. Now they tie medical do nsem bi as chama Wontumi edi Asante for Ashanti region. I'm surprised Momo you are the stronghold of NPP. Sometimes I've been surprised with this kind of things because the way NPP for di Asante for atem no e ara hosem wo they tie how somebody in Ashanti region sees chama Wontumi.
This time we are changing him because he has fraudulent us. Yes. We now relaxing that she have been cheating us, so we don't want him again. Yeah. That's why we are bringing Chamo.
Chama Wontumi said, oh, she has been cheating us. That's why we don't want him in Ashanti region again. It's just Asante for to Ntatukoko and I Chama Wontumi. Now before I continue, no mama me nkona me mo Attorney General. With the tie same Attorney General e ka fa Chama Wontumi ho. If we are, I will tell you something that went on in Ashanti region based on video.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, you will recall that in March this year, the Economic and Organized Crime Office arrested Chairman Wontumi on reasonable suspicion of the commission of a crime. Chairman Wontumi is the sole shareholder, director, and chief executive officer of Wontumi Farms Limited. The arrest was pursuant to credible intelligence gathered by the EOCO that the company and its director and CEO, its directors and CEO were involved in a fraudulent transaction in connection with a purported loan facility granted by the Ghana Exim Bank under the Mining Alternative Livelihoods program of the bank. The program was designed by Exim Bank to provide alternative sources of livelihood for the youth in areas of the country affected by the phenomenon of illegal mining or galamsey. In doing so, the Exim Bank intended that the loans under the program would go to companies committed to ensuring the realization of the objectives of the initiative, especially in relation to job creation for young persons in mining communities. In December 2017, Wontumi Farms Limited submitted its application for a loan of 18 million Ghana cedis, purportedly to cultivate maize on 100,000 acre farmland and to employ the youth on the farm. At the time that the application was submitted by Wontumi Farms Limited, together with a purported board resolution, the company was not yet registered. In other words, it was not in existence. In short, the company did not exist at the time of the loan application by its sole shareholder and director. Investigations established that Wontumi Farms Limited was incorporated on December 14, 2017, and issued with a certificate to commence business on the same day. The principal business activities of the company, as stated in its corporate registration documents, are general farming, agribusiness, and agro-processing. The directors of the company are Bernard Enchwebusuako and Thomas Enchwebusuako, with Chairman Wontumi being the sole shareholder of the company and also listed as its company secretary. Thomas Enchebosuako is believed to be the brother of Bernard Enchebosuako, domiciled in the United States of America. Prior to the registration of the company, that is Wontumi Farms Limited, Chairman Wontumi wrote to Exim Bank that the board of directors of Wontumi Farms Limited had met on December 9, 2017, and had resolved to seek a loan facility of 19 million from the bank to support its farm project at Asari Nkwanta in the Ashanti region under the Mining Alternative Livelihoods Initiative. The application letter stated, among others, that the credit facility was meant for a farming venture and that the company had secured 100,000 acres of land for that purpose. On January 16, 2018, based upon the application submitted by Chairman Wontumi, the chief promoter of Wontumi Farms, Exim Bank approved a medium-term loan facility of 18,734,260 Ghana cedis, which included a grant component of 6,768,260 Ghana cedis. This offer was accepted via a letter dated January 23, 2018, and Chairman Wontumi, acting as the Chief Executive Officer of Wontumi Farms Limited, and Thomas Enchebosuako as Director of Wontumi Farms Limited. The offer letter indicated that the approval of the medium-term loan facility was subject to the bank's terms and conditions. The loan offer letter further stated that the loan was secured with 10,000 acres of farmland of Wontumi Farms at Asari Nkwanta. The breakdown of the approved 18.7 million loan as per the offer letter was as follows. A. Purchase of agricultural plant and machinery, working capital, and then grant staff costs and consultancy fees. As part of the pre-disbursement conditions of the loan, Wontumi Farms Limited was to do the following, among others: execute an equitable mortgage over the land earmarked for the project, submit a valuation report on the land to be used as collateral, execute a lease agreement over the equipment, provide a letter of undertaking from off-takers to make payments in the joint names of Ghana Exim Bank and Wontumi Farms Limited, and then finally submit copies of the contract with the National Buffer Stock Company, under which Wontumi Farms was to supply the food items to Buffer Stock. IESO Agribusiness Consult, a company specialized in investment advisory services, consultancy and training and development, was contracted by Exim Bank and assigned to Wontumi Farms Limited as a consultant to the project. The key function of IESO Agribusiness Consult was to provide technical assistance to Wontumi Farms Limited. On February 14, 2018, IBAN Capital Limited, a company that specializes in financial technology services, cash management services, distribution of custom banking and payment software packages, was also contracted by Exim Bank and assigned to Wontumi Farms to provide a platform that will facilitate staff salary payments, customization, integration, POS, terminals, and biometric cards for the farm hands that were to be employed by Wontumi Farms Limited. Wontumi Farms Limited was to provide IBAN Capital Limited with a database of all workers, from which IBAN Capital Limited was to integrate the workers on a payment platform. IBAN Capital Limited would then receive funds directly from Exim Bank for onward disbursement to workers, to the workers' wallets as salaries and allowances. Ladies and gentlemen, Wontumi Farms Limited failed to provide a database of farmers, of farm hands to IBAN Capital, as there were no farmers working on the land, no farm hands working on the land. According to witnesses, Chairman Wontumi, as CEO of Wontumi Farms Limited, insisted and put pressure on IBAN Capital and Exim Bank to transfer the 400,000 meant for the workers to Wontumi Farms Limited on the basis that the youth who were involved in Galamsey were not used to complex electronic payment systems and wanted to be paid in cash. In order to execute the project, Wontumi Farms Limited had submitted a pro forma invoice to Exim Bank for the purchase of farm equipment, including tractors, combine harvesters, corn seeder machines, and Wellington boots. The invoice was submitted on December 15, 2017 as part of the loan application process. Subsequently, Exim Bank demanded proof that the equipment has been purchased. On March 18, 2018, Chairman Wontumi submitted a receipt from a company known as Kasama Enterprise for the purchase of the equipment in the sum of 4 million Ghana cedis. However, and this is where it gets interesting, the equipment purchase as shown on the receipt included bulldozers and excavators. Our investigations established that Chairman Wontumi had approached Kasama Enterprise, an industrial equipment dealer, and obtained an invoice with a promise to return to purchase the said equipment. He never went back to purchase the equipment. Instead, and this is where the criminal enterprise began, he forged the invoice he obtained from Kasama Enterprise by removing the word invoice and replacing it with receipt. This forged receipt was then submitted to Exim Bank as proof that he had purchased the equipment after the disbursement of the loan facility. The owner of Kasama Enterprise confirmed to investigators of the Economic and Organized Crime Office that the only document he issued to Wontumi Farms Limited through Chairman Wontumi was a pro forma invoice and not a receipt. He stated that after he issued the invoice, he never heard from Chairman Wontumi again despite repeated follow-up calls. The forged receipt submitted to Exim Bank suggested that Kasama Enterprise acknowledged receipt of the sum of 4 million Ghana cedis for the purchase of earth-moving machines and farming equipment. The so-called receipt had on it, and ladies and gentlemen of the press, this is what gave him away, 50 days to supply and 1 year guarantee and service. Now, I hope you understand what this means. That when you receive a pro forma invoice, okay, pro forma means that you've taken it with the intention of purchasing. And so they will give you a timeline, okay, within which the supplier will supply you the equipment. And then also, if there are any guarantees, services or guarantee terms, they will be indicated on the pro forma invoice. But Chairman Wontumi, as I said, took out invoice and replaced it with receipt to deceive Exim Bank that he had actually purchased the equipment. Investigations established that Chairman Wontumi did not purchase any equipment and as such could not register any equipment in the joint names of Exim Bank and Wontumi Farms Limited as per the loan conditions, even though funds were disbursed to him to that effect. That all the equipment he claimed he purchased could not be traced. Investigations established that though Chairman Wontumi submitted the forged receipt to Exim Bank, he stated during interrogation that he purchased second-hand brand new, whatever that means, second-hand brand new equipment, and that the receipts of all the purchases, including the documents on the equipment, were all sent to Exim Bank. However, Exim Bank has confirmed that neither Chairman Wontumi nor Wontumi Farms Limited submitted any documents covering the purchase of the required equipment except the forged receipts. In fact, when our investigators went to the ground, they realized that there were some obsolete, decrepit machines on the side, tractors dating back that were manufactured in the 1970s, and that were not functioning, were the ones that had been placed on the farm. So this was definitely a grand scheme designed to defraud Exim Bank. It is clear from our investigation that Chairman Wontumi and his company, Wontumi Farms Limited, made fraudulent misrepresentations to Exim Bank with a view to obtaining the loan facility, and in fact did obtain the loan facility. The equipment they represented were to be purchased were never procured. The farming enterprise never materialized, And so no young persons were employed in Asare Nkwanta in the Ashanti region. But more importantly, the company and its director and CEO forged a receipt in order to deceive Exim Bank that they were in compliance with the loan conditions. These are not mere breaches of a contract, but constitute acts of criminality by no means a person than the regional chairman of the then ruling party. In the circumstances and the face of the evidence we have gathered in this investigation, thoroughly conducted by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, we have made the decision to prosecute Wontumi Farms and its directors with defrauding by false pretenses, forgery, and causing financial loss to the state in the sum of 24,255,735 Ghana cedis. This figure represents the principal sum plus the interest that has accrued so far. And ladies and gentlemen, by the time we file charges, which will be definitely after the Christmas break when we resume work, it might be that this figure would have increased because the interest on the principal keeps compounding. And so we will get the exact figure of the amount that is involved in this, criminal enterprise from the Exim Bank before we file charges in court.
All right. And to one say these, among others, are the Ghana's economic mismanagers. That is what I have seen. So let me decode in terms of Sembia Ejikai or say, as part of the loan conditions, there was a contact mine as I say, Wontumi Farms, young contact mine, and see a different issue. Wontumi Farms. Added a NIPA, the list of NIPA one employment or farms hoba. Now you send you BSC money electronically. Wontumi ba mo ba kan kire mo say Asante for the sebe o ma dwen wo fom o mo say ade e digital bi ade o mo mpe pajonyam na make on agi na ka say chama Wontumi went to Exim Bank, told them say youth na mo ti Asante mamu no ye say mo ma dwen e wo fom mo say mo de mo de mo chire mo mpe any digital mo mpe bibia cash enti yen send this kind to no chama Wontumi account no nyi no me chemo sika mamo say na ni no boa Pachuti emiye chama Wontumi say ono ye governor wa Asante mamu na wa suma Asante mamu wa test Asante for you for mo say mo adwen wo fom mo ade e fe na digital bia mo mpe mo de an say yi na mokọ ena nsanwe chama Wontumi na account enti say mo ye no yo say atomo ne nkwase asem ti mo de mo say ade e digital means bia ade mo nhia enti yem fa sika ma ono chama Wontumi no metua e ma mo cash e transfer to Wontumi account ma sika ya motu poyando ate
Oh, she see a problem back was abeka ho.
The problem back was abeka ho say Chairman Wontumi call office bi say ye money or call say me petrata me excavator me pewe ye ma Chairman Wontumi invoice na okoya no de control computer so e no ne poyando kuri ya ko scan ye any ye invoice no we clear receipt e to ho e no de come Exim Bank. Enti not to say akwana okasa Chairman Wontumi has fraudulent arsenal.
This time we are changing him because he has fraudulent us.
So what you say? Sellers and Chairman Wontumi has actually fraudulent them. Well, that omo o say omo nim nyansa. Hey, Chairman Wontumi me kwa nim say, what say Nanu echi abu treka yese abu treka ene timi fraud man for Chairman Wontumi the chini a senior abu treka nankasa ene Chairman Wontumi sa o treka man for Chairman Wontumi timi wure whole Exim Bank of Ghana e ko treka mo Exim Bank couldn't know yese ade e ya ro say ye fa ka ko Chairman Wontumi 10,000 hectares of full na so ko na e ko duru wa aburo bi no bi say lo sen kankare Chairman Wontumi say mwawe aburo ni nyina yes chairman a full 10,000 hectares na mwawe ni nyina na tractor na so de bre say wakoto no here say Chairman Wontumi so wakoto brand new second hand materials ye ko ya tractor bi ho 1922 tractor NC ho hey Chairman Wontumi say na out here na wonim yen kwa Asante mamu ene ye Asante region adwuma ye me de kwa Asante region yen ko bisa Asante for say sika twitwiri de we na Chairman Wontumi gide ba Asante mamu no why no timi de boa no name one person and the NPP and another nego go for the dano no etimi pagya no e wa Asante mamu abra say ye ma contract okurum ha na contractors wa Asante mamu enya anase chairman bi ene kwaji sika na bacho yenko na yena Asante for nankasa including komo.
I'm not promoting NDC, but make a mistake ayaye. Where Sir John Kanokwe and NDC point pan obe uno obe 65, 60, and now 50 something cry. Position a few people me boy. Do my board so na advise you. That means who experience and why you be there. Cause that board nano. Sorry, near appointing youth, young people, no. Now who's ya? No more director board ni you say. We and say strong. Yet ye ba nkola wo ho ye twinkro abam ye wofufo na akokraji position from Kofo time, busier time, would be post. No more da so go kokan so ani so ade. Sir John, mami musa question we. I say we here pa o. Is there NPP on? Ubetimi akira brand here pan 8 years you raising Okumasi a owonya no wa ye adwuma anya sika ne ese party no yen sponsor obetimi sponsor bi businessman botu kire me hwe mo ma ye di ne o dia yes wo de Okumasi a
there some target o mo ananko mo eye yi ni mo
me say akola ben wo ye businessman ana wo na adwuma bi a party ni ba 8 years ya pagya ne se we ya man adwuma enti party na kwa ahoyanhiam no ombeso yasene botu kireme. This is what we are talking about. They rather came and killed the businesses of the young guys. And then Boris B NDC ne be pejano.
O ni mampani ma ama ho agro kra.
Boris B. Me see Boris B. I said John wan hu bi. Ze Boris B. Na na do ka ba. Na minim so che otime to no say no boka security. The radi Jacob yam pijan yen chibi ene Kumasi mranti nyina relocate to Accra ba yeti ane ntisa ya ka muntie ne enka no kran nchemu no bi a mekrokro mo ba under president Kofo Sir John minim kra metima kai me bra panyi atachi me wa metimi akai your friend say Mahamanu
Ibrahim
yes metimi akai contractor ba ko kan wi o kan Kofi kra de no a contractor but no nye road contract no nye road construction at that time but no a contractor who say Kofi market on kra me on am dinim no me na yi na dey no on na stores no contractor ba ko kan attach hu young guy onye Jubako very finidi also a very good pa
ono na dey on e ha kwan
yeah young guy very good pa me am refinidi me am ni pa so
senya abwaje okay
so all these people was raised by your friends Comfort time utimu say and na bibi bakura mu so am say wo de 8 years
abwaje contractor yeah
enti Sir John party no hwe enioma ni bo ye kan no kro ye magi chop on obi o ni abe yesa ye kan NPP party ni nchama Ashanti region Comfort time mintimi nka dudu maka nkola mi no eno a omo nye politicians o but adwuma ne page omo say ye ka politicians so a metimi aka bebrege Sir John 8 years yencha kola party ni raising no e wa Ashanti region businessman a party ni strategy business bi to why this can roam na hu chire and the party politics one more years kana akipu o mo am ho na mo de businessman be dey pejano akola be ne ya Asantini ana wotena Asante krom ha ya tetena 8 years ye pejano
okay
Sir John
question now
yes everyone
7.9 Kumasi
after there adada for na omo he kakra no Sir John NPP chairman ni NDC ni bi papa you dey say ni dey won say dey say there akwaya ono say uti ba bi kura bi tu no
chairman
omo mpa bibi nya no na ne yenkrofo ni ye bi ya bi no be
e na abaji
yeah must I very careful here Sir John yenkrofo iba businessman e be a transporters me boa obi a contractor obi a say businessman ni politician dey simple woman adwuma o kakre wo no do ade aye dey ama wo yenkrofo iba chairman no akwaje ye yoseme ye contractor adwuma e wo se ye de ma contractors ni adane de ama chairman na contractor for nya adwuma nya wa Asante man mu omu nyina ya Asante man ma omu ya Asante fo mu fraka man ye no omu netia no oye contractor onya adwuma nya obi a transformer transporter o chikoko no ahwe party no wo the contract no man na obi anu ama ye ba ya na chairman bi wakofa articulators me 100 o se mo fa contract ni nyina ama me esi da paying no crepa na make can say you catch from say me can no natural. Yes, politicians they over the business people within your stronghold. So ni me both and collect banning penny for. Na omo so nya bibia omo de bibia fa kira den aboa. Na mo de mo ba ye ne pep or your chairman or your transporter or your chairman or your contractor or your chairman will be a radio station or your chairman, you are taking the business from the businessmen. Machoko 4 times young kolako for pijao. And then Sir John Wunye be say 8 years in our administration. Asante man, young kola business ye di pijao. And now catch
one very basic question. Very basic and simple question. You see a chairman radio station chairman ya BA. Articulators in the country cocoa chairman ya BA. Contract and them chairman akwaji. One chairman or TC Ashanti region or Kelly the whole of Ashanti region. NPP party Oguno. Oh yeah, Santinia TN70 ye. Secretary we say be jina wani so no kwa compare the national chairman of NPP now di chairman Wontumi chia. Sebe chairman Wontumi say wa bon. Oso unim nyansa. Oso wo digital means kwa na won ti ase. Nti mo na mudi chairman Wontumi chia na chairman say na Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia digitalization mo kwa mo say mo mpe. Mo kura na Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia say o kana. Say na Asante fo amoti wono chairman Wontumi say youth me kan yo say mo mpe. Ode mu di kwa ji sika so de kwa kodo aburu no sika na wadi. Da koto Lamborghini yeso da koto cars ama na yerenom. Ama ene yuko for kwa kwaje. Poliando na eka onyama na meka. O se nature me Wontumi problem aba no. Ne cars kura na yere team kura no abanyaje. Lamborghini ni Rolls Royce na chama Wontumi yere twi. Ba cha oti Ashanti region na so de NPP de na NPP4 ye de wo ye de 12 years sa tie Poliando.
Chama Wontumi no ho ye. Oh, se si a problem ba kwa sa be ka ho. Anu ne sen. Ne yere mu ka onse ne yere mu ye mienu. Yakwaje ne yere mu cars nyina. Cars na yere mu Dabi aban wakwaje chama Wontumi yere cars. Ne yere mu tu no wa freeway agire cars nyina. Omo nante form. Ade omo ware chama Wontumi. Ade paper car no papers no chama. Minimo ya gine nyina free mai nsem. Ade. So omo ware chama Wontumi ti. Why? Eti o how no ba kwa sa be kan wa se wanya BP. Wo be ko bia yesi mahame engo form o nti no.
Form so de engo. Afia so asini garum Magis Kennedy. Ene chama Wontumi mani huna wanya na afia so asini garum e ka ho. Magis Kennedy ko kan so dey twabo. You see because chama Wontumi has fraudulently asked. Attorney General say oral adwuma no ebi no. Ya twi chama Wontumi na Kofi Akpalu so ka ho. E pa chama post video on the platform. Kofi Akpalu dey to bit me akwa Kofi amame. This is a debate with Munufie. Mama yenko yenim na sometimes no we didn't go for we chama sa obeka sa bere chama Wontumi dey amanu hunu hom dey enya dey besa.
This time we are changing him because he has fraudulently us. Yes. We now relaxing that she have been